I bet you didn't know just how wild Chinese social media can get when global headlines break. Welcome to Important Updates, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you are new here, do not forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an update. Picture this. It's a regular Tuesday on Chinese social media, and millions are glued to their screens, ready for the next big thing to break. Users are scrolling through Weibo, China's answer to Twitter, catching up on trending topics and viral moments. Suddenly, breaking news flashes across feeds. Trump's administration is delaying or even reversing some tariffs. Instantly, the internet erupts in a frenzy of reactions. Memes start flying. Trump as a bumbling builder, blocks tumbling down on his head. Captions poking fun at his economic strategy and decision-making. The digital roast is massive, with posts and comments flooding in by the second. Netizens, who for years were told America would crush China's economy, now see this as a symbolic victory, something to celebrate together. GIFs of Trump as a blustering drama character go viral, spreading like wildfire across platforms. Comments pile up. So much for the master negotiator, one user jokes. While others chime in with their own sarcastic takes. The reversal becomes a punchline. America, long seen as the bully, finally blinked, and everyone is in on the joke. For Chinese users, this isn't just about economics, it's about national pride and a sense of collective triumph. The US had promised an easy win, but now looked like it was backing down, leaving many to question its strategy. Cartoons show Uncle Sam punching a steel wall labeled China and hurting himself, a metaphor that resonates deeply online. The humor is sharp, rooted in a sense of vindication and long-awaited payback. On Douyin, China's TikTok, skits show Trump demanding money, then sheepishly asking for a discount, drawing laughter from millions. The message is clear. The US overplayed its hand and is now forced to retreat, a narrative that dominates the conversation. For Chinese social media, this policy shift was the punchline to a very long-running joke, finally reaching its climax. The trade war had become a viral spectacle, and America was now the main character getting thoroughly roasted for all to see. What sparked this online celebration? Trump's tariffs. The announcement was bold, promising to shake up the global trade order and put America first. The plan was simple on paper: tax Chinese imports to protect US industries and jobs, making American-made products more competitive at home. But reality hit hard and fast. American companies that relied on Chinese parts suddenly saw their costs soar, squeezing already thin profit margins. If you make vacuum cleaners and need a Chinese motor, tariffs hit your bottom line. The extra expense couldn't be ignored. Businesses faced a tough choice: raise prices and risk losing customers, or eat the cost and hope to survive. The manufacturing sector, meant to be helped, instead struggled with higher expenses and supply chain chaos. Even agriculture got slammed as uncertainty spread. China retaliated, slapping tariffs on US farm goods, escalating the trade war and deepening the crisis. Farmers lost their biggest market overnight, with crops piling up and equipment sitting idle, hope fading with each passing day. The administration, after months of tough talk, quietly delayed or removed tariffs on consumer goods, laptops, phones, toys, just before the holidays, hoping to avoid backlash from shoppers and businesses alike. It was a tacit admission. Tariffs were hurting Americans more than anyone wanted to admit, and the pressure was mounting. The tough talk had collided with economic reality, and the consequences were impossible to ignore. The reversal wasn't just policy, it was a public retreat, a step back from the brink. The trade war's unintended consequences were everywhere, from shuttered factories to struggling small businesses. The US had to face the music, confronting the fallout of its own decisions, and the world was watching, waiting to see what America would do next. Facing criticism that tariffs were just a tax on Americans, the administration floated a new idea: rebate checks funded by tariff revenue, $2,000 checks for every household, a warrior dividend for the military, free money, supposedly from China. It sounded great, but the public was skeptical. The government was taxing Americans, then offering to give some of it back. Critics called it absurd. If tariffs are so good, why do we need rebates? The plan was long on promises, short on details. No one knew who'd get checks or when. The rebate idea felt like a desperate distraction from a failing policy. It was a shiny object, not a solution. The real problem, tariffs hurting families, remained. The rebate ruse fooled no one. While politicians debated rebates, American businesses took action. They sued. Companies argued the tariffs were illegal, imposed without Congress's approval. Imagine running Costco, suddenly paying huge tariffs on thousands of products. Do you eat the cost or pass it to customers? The legal battle reached the Supreme Court, leaving businesses in limbo. For some, like iRobot, tariffs threatened survival. Manufacturing costs soared. Competition stiffened. Companies weren't just fighting for refunds, they were fighting to stay alive. If the court struck down tariffs, the government faced billions in refunds and a bureaucratic nightmare. The policy meant to protect U.S. industry was hurting it instead. The tariff mess exposed a lack of strategy. Just chaos, lawsuits, and uncertainty. Businesses were caught in a fight they never wanted. The trade war's collateral damage was real, and the confusion was far from over. In China, the U.S. tariff reversal wasn't just an economic story, it was a matter of losing face, a concept deeply rooted in Chinese society and history. In Chinese culture, face means reputation and dignity. Losing it is public humiliation, something to be avoided at all costs, especially on the international stage. So when the U.S. backed down, Chinese netizens saw America lose face on the world stage, interpreting the move as a sign of weakness and indecision. Weibo users quickly labeled the US a paper tiger, all roar, no bite, a phrase that instantly went viral across Chinese social media. The phrase, made famous by Mao Zedong decades ago, trended everywhere, echoing through newsrooms and online forums alike. For many, the delay was proof. America couldn't handle a real trade war, and its threats were empty bluster. The mockery reflected China's growing confidence, as citizens celebrated what they saw as a symbolic victory over a long-time rival. For decades, China was catching up. Now it was standing tall, proud of its progress and newfound global influence. Comments like, "They started a fight but can't afford it," and "Uncle Sam is all talk," were everywhere, fueling the online frenzy. State media amplified the message. China was calm, rational, and in control, while America appeared erratic and unpredictable. The US wasn't just losing a trade dispute. It was losing its reputation for strength, reliability, and leadership in the eyes of many. The memes and jokes weren't just for laughs. They highlighted the growing gap between US words and actions, and the world was taking notice. America had picked a fight, declared victory, then quietly retreated, leaving many to question its resolve. In the court of global opinion, that's the ultimate way to lose face, especially when rivals are eager to point it out. The online roasting was relentless, with new memes and jokes surfacing by the minute, keeping the story alive. For China, this was more than economics. It was a public humbling of a rival, a moment to savor and remember. And the world was watching, witnessing a shift in the balance of power, one viral post at a time. While China laughed, Americans felt the pain. Prices for everyday goods rose fast. Tariffs meant higher costs for washing machines, shoes, backpacks. Consumers paid the price. Farmers were hit hardest. China's retaliation wiped out their biggest market overnight. Silos filled with unsold soybeans. Family farms faced bankruptcy. The administration's bailout spent billions to compensate farmers, but it was taxpayer money fixing a problem the government created. The aid was a lifeline, but didn't solve the real issue: lost customers. Rising prices and farm crises fueled political backlash. Supporters called it short-term pain for long-term gain, but for many, the pain was immediate and real. The tariffs became a kitchen table issue. The trade war's costs were no longer abstract. They were personal. Americans were paying, and they knew it. The backlash was growing. The administration boasted about tariff revenue, over $200 billion collected. They claimed it was a windfall, paid by China, funding rebates and military dividends, but the numbers were unstable. Rolling back tariffs meant less revenue. The contradiction: you can't threaten tariffs and count on the money at the same time. Critics argued the revenue was just a tax on Americans. The big numbers made headlines, but masked a shaky financial reality. Was the goal to punish China, protect U.S. industry, or raise money. The policy tried to do all three and failed at each. The debate exposed the core conflict in the strategy. The numbers looked good until you looked closer. The most telling move? Delaying tariffs on Chinese semiconductors, vital for all modern tech. The administration planned new tariffs, then suddenly postponed them until at least 2027. Was it strategy, holding leverage in negotiations, or a sign of weakness, admitting the US tech sector couldn't handle the hit? Chinese social media saw it as America backing down, dependent on China's supply chain. The delay exposed the deep ties between the two economies. The flip-flop showed you can't swing a policy hammer without breaking your own tools. Whether a pause or a retreat, the message was clear. The trade war was more complicated and dangerous than the tough talk suggested. The semiconductor saga summed up the whole mess. The US couldn't afford to go all in. The world saw the hesitation and drew its own conclusions. The trade war's risks were real, and the stakes were higher than ever. Step back, and a bigger picture emerges. Constant policy flip-flops created global uncertainty. Businesses and countries couldn't plan. The rules kept changing. This chaos cost the US credibility. Allies hesitated. Adversaries saw opportunity. The US looked less like a leader, more like an unreliable partner. The lesson is clear. Leadership requires consistency, not bluster. The trade war waged by tweet and soundbite hurt America's interests and trust abroad. Chinese mockery was more than jokes. It was a world watching a superpower stumble. The tariff reversal is a cautionary tale. Bluster crumbles when it meets reality. In a connected world, strength is measured by wisdom, not volume. Acting tough is easy. Being smart is hard. The world is always watching to see which you choose. And this time, America's choice was on full display.